on blackpressusa.com, as well as the NNPA Newswire service.
Yeah, absolutely. And Dr. Chavis, the ancestors of a Black family forced out of business nearly 100 years ago by officials of a wealthy coastal city south of Los Angeles are on the verge of recouping what once belonged to them. According to an NBC News report, the Los Angeles County Board of Supervisors voted unanimously to begin the process of transferring beachfront property to the descendants of Charles and Willa Bruce, whose once thriving resort in affluent Manhattan Beach was taken under eminent domain in 1924. A statewide bill was also introduced earlier this month that will allow Los Angeles County to return the land to the Bruce family's descendants. Returning Bruce's beach to the family that first developed the land is part of California's bigger push toward reckoning with its checkered past, which also includes reforming the criminal justice system and creating a pathway for reparation payments to descendants of slaves. So big move there for the Bruce family and all of African Americans in the state of California.
Absolutely. And, part of reparations has an economic consequence. And we are very grateful that the Board of Supervisors, the decision makers in Los Angeles County, have decided to do what is right. And that is to restore some sense of justice, some sense of equity and equality to that African-American family that has been discriminated against, taken advantage of, took their land all these years, and now they will be able to reclaim their land. That's a great story.
It is a great story, and that's something else you can read more about at blackpressusa.com this week. And Dr. Chavis, it goes to the bigger picture. Sheila Jackson Lee, the woman out of Texas, has been fighting for HR 40, the reparations bill, and we know it just passed the House. And so the Senate now has to take up that. So important because of things like this. That family's land, Dr. Chavis, and it's if you've ever been to Manhattan Beach, California, I don't know how many have, it's a beautiful, beautiful place with a lot of lush and beautiful land, oceanfront, as this family's land was sitting on. They took it eminent domain, Dr. Chavis, and we know, and especially in 1924, what really was going on.
Absolutely. And again, that's why elections have consequences. And the fact that the people who are elected to the county board in Los Angeles County are now being accountable to the electorate, the people who put them in office. Los Angeles is a great example where African Americans and Latino Americans, Latinx work together to the benefit of our families and our community. So salute to Los Angeles. And I'm going to give a shout out to our publisher of the Los Angeles Sentinel, as well as the Our Weekly, the LA Wave, the Inglewood Today, the LA Focus. We have a lot of Black-owned newspapers in Los Angeles, and we salute all of them for helping to keep us informed of what is happening in Black America.
Yeah, absolutely. So a great story to follow there in the Los Angeles area, Manhattan Beach. Dr. Chavis, this morning, we're going to talk to Albert Holley. Albert Holley is a former high school algebra teacher. He and his wife, Dr. Melissa Holley, are proud Rita's Italian Ice Shops franchise owners. They own 3 in Maryland. The couple, after a dozen years, I should say, in Albert's case, as a teacher and high school basketball coach, he educated Baltimore's next generation. Now he's using his entrepreneurial traits to continue helping young ones. Let's talk more to Albert Holley this morning. Good morning, Albert Holley.
Good morning. Good morning. Thank you for having me.
Good morning, Brother Holley, and congratulations to you and your family for your not only your academic success, but your entrepreneur success. Having Black-owned businesses in the state of Maryland, that's quite an achievement. Congratulations to you.
Thank you, sir. And it's a pleasure to be here with you. I know you've been working for our people for a really, really long time. So it's an honor to be here with you today and to speak to you.
Thank you.
And, I see that Rita's cup behind you. It is never, I know you will agree, it is never too early or too late to have some Ritas.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right. Everybody loves Ritas.
Oh, without question. So tell us a little bit about your journey. As I stated, you were a high school teacher and basketball coach.
Yes.
Tell us about that and how you were able to turn that into being an entrepreneur.
Well, I guess I always had an entrepreneurial spirit. One of my dreams was always to be in business for myself and own my own business and operate my own business. Teaching sort of came to me by virtue of having a neighbor that was a principal in high school that thought I would be good. I was already doing a little bit of coaching with youth and in rec leagues, and he thought it'd be a good transition to move into the high school to teach, with our children, because we always need more minority, particularly Black males, in some of our schools with our students to help them achieve success as well. So that's how I got into teaching. I was an Algebra 1 teacher to begin with. Then I moved into a program they had in Baltimore County at the time called AVID, which was Advanced via Individual Determination. And so, you took students who may have fallen through a crack, or students who may not have been sort of worked with as much as others, and you took them and you developed them. I worked with them for 4 years while they were in high school, and then you help them matriculate to college or to, whatever they were going to do past high school. So while I was doing that, I also coached boys varsity basketball, Milk Mule Academy, Go Millers, won a couple of state championships, and just, use it again as a vehicle to gain young people's attention. And once you have their attention, now you're trying to instill the values and the lessons that you think they need to learn to be successful.
And Albert, tell us a little bit about some of the obstacles you had to overcome to start your first, because you have 3 Readers franchises. Yes. So tell us a little bit about the obstacles you had to overcome, particularly as an African American.
Well, the typical obstacles are, gaining access to resources, gaining access to capital, working through the banks, who often will look at your applications a little differently than they may look at others. Making sure you have a better business plan than other people have, and making sure all your applications are tight and all your I's are dotted and T's are crossed. So just having the relationships with financial institutions that will allow you to go and gain access to the capital is probably the biggest obstacle to overcome.
And you you left school, you left teaching, you left coaching, but you didn't leave the students. Tell us about that. Many of them have come to work for you.
That's correct. And so, particularly the business I'm in is a business that employs and attracts, high school age students, early college students to work. And so you end up sort of working with that same demographic that I was working with when I was in the school system. It's just now you're introducing them to the workforce, you're introducing them to, the types of things and the work ethic that it takes to elevate and move forward in the workforce, as opposed to just an academic component where you're teaching them sort of the lessons they need to know to gain the knowledge to be able to apply to these types of things. But now it's more of a workforce issue and more of a workforce sort of education.
Yeah, and it's not about just showing up, right, Albert? These students, they don't just show up. Tell us about that.
No, it's more than that. It's similar to what you talk about in the classroom, but in here it's about, particularly when we're a small business and we are dependent on each one of these customers that come to us every day, and every time they come, it's a new experience. And so, the concept of high expectations in the workplace is sort of something they have to understand, that you may not feel like giving your best effort, but when you represent a business and a company, and how we pay you is to make a profit, it's a different level of accountability that they have to understand. So just showing up, as some of our young people may do in the classroom sometimes, unfortunately, isn't enough. You really have to come in and perform at a high level every day, because every day is a new day in business.
Yeah, absolutely. Dr. Chavis?
Right. I was just listening to Brother Holley. Again, striving for excellence in class, striving for excellence in the workplace, striving for excellence in life. I think that if you talk to a lot of the old school brothers and sisters in our communities, that has been one factor that has enabled African Americans to be able to not only withstand systemic racism, but transcend it or go over it. Maryland is the state of Benjamin Banneker, Frederick Douglass, Thurgood Marshall, Harriet Tubman. The list is long. Mm-hmm. Tell us how it is to have a Black-owned business in the state of Maryland in 2021.
For me, it's exciting. I take pride in sort of being a minority-owned, a Black-owned business in our community, partly because a lot of our kids may not be exposed to it on a regular basis. Part of why I enjoy being a business owner, and one of the reasons I wanted to be in business, is to inspire young people to believe that entrepreneurship is a viable option for us, particularly in our communities, because oftentimes, particularly where my shops are, we may be one of the only Black-owned businesses in the community or in the neighborhood, which means those opportunities for jobs become limited because oftentimes, unfortunately, other cultures who may be in our neighborhoods sort of owning and operating businesses don't hire our young people. So we have to have more businesses, and the more we can inspire young people to be entrepreneurs, to set up shop inside of their communities, the more jobs will be available for our young people, the more opportunities they'll have, and then they can stay away from some of the other things that people think about negative behavior.
Yeah.
Well, on behalf of the Black Press of America, we salute you. Our trade association, we are independently owned African American businesses, and raising something. A lot of our publishers and a lot of our publications of second and third generation have been in the family for a long time. And it seems to me what you're creating in Maryland is an opportunity, not only for individuals, but also for families to understand the importance of economic development, investing in the community, and for not only providing jobs, but a sense of what it means to have your own business.
Certainly. And, oftentimes we look at, other people in other cultures that acquire multiple franchises or multiple units within a franchise, and we wonder how they do it or how it's done. Or, as I've started to grow and expand, you do get people to ask, how can you, when they don't often ask other people, how can they? It's just expected that that's what they'll do and expected that that's what it is. So I would just like to hope that everybody can understand that if you dream big, which I've always believed in, and it's one of the things I taught as a teacher was dreaming, because we have to dream, and it's the only way we can sort of pull ourselves forward is to have something to look forward to. So I try to make sure that the young people that I work with dream and dream big, and then we put the work in to make those dreams come true.
Very good.
Yeah, and want to say good morning to Joni King, Annette Phillips, Lynn Spivey, our own Bobby Henry, and Claudette Perry. But there's a couple of questions. Nicole McDaniel is asking exactly where are your shops in Maryland so we can support?
So I have one shop in Windsor Mill, Maryland, which is like the Woodlawn, Milford Mill area. Then I have a shop in Catonsville, Maryland. And then I have a shop downtown Baltimore at the Inner Harbor. So yes, please come out and support.
Yeah, absolutely. And I saw another question I wanted to ask you, and I can't locate it oh, there we go. Thanks to our great producer, Enchanted Jackson. Michelle Madison says, do you have plans to expand your business to other states, such as Virginia?
Me personally, no, because I'm hands-on and really like to operate my business. But Readers is a franchise. And if you have people out there who are interested in sort of operating or owning a Readers or getting into the system, I'd be more than happy to, talk to anybody that was interested in getting into the system, because it is a good product. If you run it right, it can be really good for you and your family.
So, Tracy, I have one question. The Inner Harbor,
Yes.
Baltimore is a predominantly African-American city.
Yes.
And the Inner Harbor downtown Baltimore, the whole warfare is beautiful, but people have always lamented not having enough African-American owned businesses in the Inner Harbor. Yes. Can you tell us, is the trend changing? Because, at one time, Brother Holley, there were no African-American owned business in the Inner Harbor, but now you and others seem to be changing that. Comment on that, please.
I think so. I think that what's happening is downtown, there's sort of it's a fight or flight kind of situation. And you have a lot of people are running away from Baltimore and downtown, thinking that it's not a safe place or a good place to operate a business. I've been down there for a year now, and I can tell you that there really isn't a better place, particularly at the Inner Harbor, to own or operate a business. So I think as other people are moving out and not seeing the value of being downtown, it's creating opportunities for people like myself and other Black business owners to come in and fill that void.
Exactly. We have two, the Baltimore Afro, the Afro newspaper, one over almost 130 years old. Mm-hmm. We have the Baltimore Times also in Baltimore. two of our leading African American owned publications, the Afro and the Baltimore Times.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. And David Youngblood, here's a question too. He's asking a question it's interesting in this sense. He says, "How much is a franchise?" Now, that question, Albert Holley, is an important question in that young people, and others who think about starting franchises, what is that like, trying to get into a franchise like a Reader's, trying to get, McDonald's or whatever.
Right.
These franchises, they don't come cheap, right?
They don't come cheap, but the cost of it isn't prohibitive. So each franchise is different in terms of the fees that they'll charge to get into the franchise. And then, there are variables like, my first store was a store that was already in existence. So we purchased that store. The second store I built in Catonsville, we built that from the ground up. So, financially, there's some variables there. But in general, you're looking at a franchise fee and then the cost to either purchase or build out the business. But, if you're going to the bank and you're using resources like the SBA, where you're required 10% to input yourself, you recognize that if you've been saving a little bit of money and you have something aside in a 401k or, other money that you put aside, that money can really be put to good use in purchasing a franchise, because you don't have to have all the money up front. All you need is the 10% the SBA requires, a good credit score, and then you can go to the bank and get what you need for the rest. And then you're just betting on yourself and your ability and your talent to be able to make the business grow and succeed.
Wow. So 10% is what the SBA requires, you said?
Yes.
Okay. Yes. Well, and it also that savings, as you said, some have had to go into their, as you mentioned, 401ks. But what about those who might be a little bit more challenged in that, but they have the energy, they have the vigor, the desire?
Well, then, you start to look for partners and people who have the other side of what you do. And that's why partnerships are important, because I may have the expertise, I may have the talent, I may have the drive, I just may not have the finances. And so that's where partnerships come into play, and the ability to sort of network and meet folks who sort of can complement what you have. And then you put that together and now you're on to something. So there really are no barriers. It's out here if you really have a desire to go get it. A lot of times we sort of build fake barriers for ourselves to stop ourselves from doing what we need to do. It's that old step out on faith that we say all the time, that, sometimes you got to close your eyes and step out there and tell yourself that it's going to happen. And if you have faith and work hard, generally it does.
Yeah, we had someone, and my memory is not serving me correctly right now, but we had someone on recently who talked about the importance of a partnership. I believe what she said was the best entrepreneur or the best entrepreneur is the one that has a partner. And
Right.
And that's obviously what you're saying. You have your wife as your partner, am I correct?
Right. Yeah. It just so happens in this case, my partner was my wife, and so we got the business started with money she had in a 401k, which I felt like we could grow faster than it would in a 401k if we took advantage of the right opportunities. If I've always seen it, you don't know who's at Morgan Stanley behind the scenes, helping your money grow. Why not invest it in yourself? In a business for your family and for yourself, and then you're in control of your own destiny, as opposed to sort of allowing other people to control your destiny for you.
And I see Melissa Holley says agree.
I see she chimed in. Yes.
Well, and Albert, before we let you go, obviously, again, I want to circle back to the children that you and your wife both have really done so much for in Baltimore. Can you talk about perhaps maybe there's a success story out of this that we don't know about from one or two or several of the young ones that you've employed and also you educated in school?
I've had quite a few over the years. I've probably employed over 100, throughout this is our 5th year now. And a couple of them stick out to me. I've got a young lady who works with me right now named Capria Marshall, came to me as a freshman in high school. Wasn't sure about her at first, but she has a determination that exhibits and embodies all the things you want in a young person. That's allowed her to continue to grow. She's with us to this day. She's my general manager. So, she's really grown in the business. But in general, the ability to watch these young people grow and develop, a lot of them I'll get in the 9th or 10th grade so that we can work with them for a few years and go through that development process. But, you're watching them grow, you're watching them develop, you're believing in young people that a lot of other people don't believe in. I've always been one to sort of work with those who other people may overlook. And so, to watch them grow and to watch, sort of these diamonds in the rough develop into what they want to develop into, to be able to instill some dreaming in them, to be able to instill some values in them that'll help them move forward. It's just been really rewarding for me and for my wife. And so, I'm happy to do it. It's something that I wish to continue to do in either this way or some other ways like public service, so I can continue on the mission of, trying to help as many of the young people as we can.
Wow, Dr. Chavis, did you hear that? One of them grew into general manager.
Absolutely, and Brother Holley, I'm so glad you mentioned the whole concept of diamonds in the rough. We have such wealth in our community, and our greatest wealth is not the materiality; it's the human capacity. We have such talented, such enormously potentially great brothers and sisters that sometimes get cut off, gets diverted. And so what you have shown, not the school system to the prison pipeline, you've shown the school system to the wealth pipeline, to the economic development pipeline, management pipeline. So it's a great example. And that's what we do in the Black press. We lift up these positive examples. And Brother Holley, you and your wife, Ms. Holley, have set a great positive example for Black entrepreneurship.
I do appreciate that. And if I may close by saying our school systems need to do a better job of doing some of these things instead of sort of sitting our kids in school and really not teaching them the things that are necessary to move forward. We have to do a better job of inspiring our young people to look not only at college, which college is extremely important, and a lot of our kids should be looking and focus on that, but entrepreneurship, trade school, there are a lot of other things that our young people can be doing to build really good lives for themselves and for their families. So we really have to get our school system in order. We have to teach our children better. We have to educate them. We have to stop lowering the expectations for them so that they can achieve the greatness that they were destined to achieve.
Wow. Excellently said. Well said, Dr. Holley. We really, your wife is Dr. Holley.
I'm working on
it. Yeah, your wife is Dr. Holley.
My wife is Dr. Holley. Yeah.
Well, we appreciate you both. And don't forget, it's not too early to register for the National Newspaper Publishers Association's annual summer convention, which is held virtually this year. And it's free, thanks to Dr. Chavis, our president and CEO, and our chair, Karen Carter Richards, and the NNPA's executive committee. It's free to register at www.virtualnnpa2021.com. Again, it's virtualnnpa2021.com, June 23rd to June 26th. Lots of surprises in store. Lots of great information, as always, is in store. So please register today at virtualnnpa2021.com. Let it be known, don't let anyone's ignorance, hate, drama, or negativity stop you from being the best person that you can be. We will see you tomorrow.